What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my unit review and builds guide for the Halloween banner featuring Halloween Female Corrin, Male Corrin, and Halloween Naga. I'll also be going over the best users of the attack speed finish skill because I think that it's a really good finish skill that we have got, and this is definitely not the last time we're going to be seeing this. So Halloween Female Corrin, I would say, is also a star of this banner after Duma because she is a very solid dragon. She has got Moonlight Stone as her preferred weapon, and this gives her -1 special cooldown. So negating Fang becomes a 2-turn special, and at the start of the map, she can basically pre-charge this. So that is amazing and pretty much eliminates the use of shield pulse from her base kit, and that is something that, Legendary Corrin also needs. And then if the foe initiates combat or if the foe's HP is above 75%, then she can get +5 to all of her stats, and she can also get the special acceleration on her own attacks. And this is really good for looping up the negating Fang. She can also get the guard effect on the foe per attack, and she can also reduce flat 8 damage from foe whenever they trigger her special. So this is pretty similar to Shield Pulse pretty much. Shield Pulse gives you like 5 flat reduction in the damage, and this gives you 8, so it's a bit better Shield Pulse in a sense. And having the guard effect is really nice, both for the player phase and the enemy phase. And Female Corrin pretty much has everything that she can want in this kind of weapon, especially compared to Legendary Corrin, who definitely needs a weapon refine at this point. And Halloween Corrin is just an upgrade. Despite not being colorless, the blue color can actually help her in many of the matchups, especially against Brave Seliph, for example, who is a very meta threat. And there's also Legendary Nana. So this kind of weapon gives her really good flexibility, and negating Fang is just an amazing special that she already comes with, giving you essentially the draconic aura and also functioning as a damage reduction special. So it cannot really be pierced by Deadeye, Lethality, or Sublime Heaven, but keep in mind that Legendary Nana is able to bypass this kind of special. So she is going to be a pretty unique tank because of this special and her stat spread, having 42 base attack and 45 base speed. So she's a very fast dragon, and because of the damage reduction and her stat spread, she is going to be functioning as a pretty good duelist. She does have trainee BST as expected. They just give these kinds of Corrins trainee BST out of nowhere, so she can actually score really high in arena as well. And her base kit is quite synergetic with this kind of weapon, giving her attack speed finish 4, which is going to be having good synergy with the pre-charge negating Fang, and also having Dragon Strat so that she can get a bit more damage reduction and also get the true damage so that she can one-shot easily against a lot of the opponents with the use of negating Fang. Overall, female Halloween Corrin is a very solid unit from this banner, even though she's not exactly the duo unit or a far savior like Duma. But we definitely cannot underestimate her because she is going to be a really solid fast tank, especially with this kind of damage reduction special. And she also has access to distant counter Dragon Sacred Seal, and dragons in general do have some pretty nice skills now, so she can function in both phases really well and also get pretty much most of the effects that she can want. And the finish skill can also heal you up. So now that we have talked about Halloween Female Corrin, let's talk about Attack Speed Finish 4, which is going to be a pretty important skill and one of the best offensive skills that you can run on many units. So first of all, this skill can give you +7 attack and speed in combat if you're within 3 spaces of an ally, and the secondary condition requires your special to be pre-charged before the combat or if it triggers during the combat. And if that condition is met, then you can get +5 true damage per hit and also restore 7 HP in the combat. So that is really good for getting extra damage output. And you can kind of compare this to Attack Speed Ideal, where it gives you like +2 attack and speed, and here the finish skill actually gives you healing and also the true damage. Finish skills are infantry locked, so no armor unit can use this with hardy fighter specials, keep in mind. I get that asked a lot, but this is an infantry locked skill, and any kind of infantry unit can run this skill, especially the ones that can use their specials or have special acceleration or have some kind of tempo effect. And its condition is rather lenient because you just need to be within 3 spaces of an ally. Of course, it's not really suited if you're going to be going deep into the enemy lines, but for most kinds of like gods or tanks or fast tanks, this skill can definitely work out pretty well. And as of making this video, unfortunately we don't have the version 3 available on a demote unit, so you will have to use all of your 4 inherits for this finish skill. But I feel like this is going to be the skill like Attack Speed Ideal or Attack Speed Push that we're going to be seeing quite a lot on other units. So let's go over some of the free-to-play options that can run this finish skill really well. Honestly, I wanted to make a separate video on this, but my schedule unfortunately doesn't allow it. So yeah, I'm just going to be going over the options here. And Marissa is a fantastic user of this because of her high HP and the fact that she just has Time Pulse in her weapon. So she has an open slotsy skill which could be used for Speed Smoke 4 or even run Attack Speed Oath 4. And with Bulwark skill and Finish 4, you can actually heal up quite a lot of HP. So that's a pretty good combo that you can have now on these kinds of speedy units, especially when you don't really have to sacrifice running Null Follow-Up, as we do have it as a Sacred Seal now. Rutger is easily one of the best free-to-play users of Godlike Reflexes because of the special acceleration that he can get. So you can stack that up with Godlike Reflexes, which is not pierceable by Deadeye or Lethality, and you can also run more damage reduction with his Slotsy skill. So this is like the max investment skill you can run on these units. And Shez that we have recently got also has special acceleration in her weapon. So with the velocity, you can essentially get the Null Guard, and that way you cannot be stopped from triggering Vital Astra and doing a lot of the damage and also healing up. There are also going to be units with pre-charge specials like, Legendary Corrin, of course, who can run this. And even Arcane Elutineer users can easily use this with like Vital Astra or like Godlike Reflexes, because you do have the -1 special cooldown. And units who do have special acceleration in their weapon can just combo this up with a tempo skill like Adrift Female Corrin and use this as a dragon. We also have a couple of legendary units here who can make really good use of this. So that is going to be another buff to Legendary Dimitri being able to heal up and do even more true damage with this kind of skill. So this is definitely the high investment skill that you can run with a Vital Astra build. Legendary Roy does have the Null Guard effect and also has the special acceleration, so he can just retaliate back with Vital Astras. And in that case, this Finish skill can definitely provide him the self-sustain. And a lot of times, a nuke like Legendary Male Pilot is going to be really appreciating the +5 true damage that he can get out of this slotty skill. You can also use this on some range units, and these builds are really fun, so you can actually run this on Legendary Alm. And I really like the +5 true damage when he triggers his special. Again, he does have that Null Guard, so it is going to be giving you that value on your special, and I'm a big fan of it. Ascended Celica can run a really fun build, and honestly this is the build I would run on her if I had the resources, because you can get the healing out of the Finish skill and also Mystic Boost and essentially have an infinite miracle. Well, mostly infinite as long as you don't face very hard-hitting brave units. So this kind of build could be used, and she is going to be incredibly fun with that miracle in her weapon. And as long as she has got 11 HP, she's going to be having her miracle, and with this build she's able to recover 13 HP. So this actually allows her to run a damaging special like Moonbow. Like previously you had to run, something like Noontime, but now the Finish skill can free that up. And Ascended Marita is also pretty much one of the best Godlike Reflexes users after Flame Tribe Lyn because of the mini special spiral in her weapon. So once you have got this charged up, you can simply use this, and you can even pre-charge this with some other unit and run something else in her slot B instead of running Shield Pulse, but it does give you that flat damage reduction. You can also run this on unit like Sothis, who definitely didn't get the best of refines, but if you're a huge Sothis fan, then this is something that you can run, and I think faced this in Summoner Duels just today. So yeah, you could definitely run this, as she also has Null Guard with Sirius Plus. So all of these Null Guard units are going to be pretty amazing, like Ascended Celica, Legendary Alm, with this kind of skill. And then Brave Dimitri got a really fantastic refine opposite of Sothis. So this is a high investment Brave Dimitri that he can run, and now that we have Null Follow-Up, he can just stop the auto follow-up attacks. It might seem a bit odd to speed stack on him, but at like this kind of max investment, he already has such a high amount of defense that he's really not going to be taking much of damage, and Finish skill can be really good for the healing. Because he cannot really run the Bulwark skill like Asker can, for example. So this is going to be a pretty nice option here, especially now that we have Null Follow-Up Sacred Seal. And he also has the special acceleration in his weapon, so you can just retaliate back with it. Both male and female Shez are fantastic users of this skill, as you can see, because of the special acceleration. And now we have a bit different users of this. So Brave Celica can actually be really fun with the healing, stacking up with her weapon, the Finish skill, the Bulwark skill, and this can work with Godlike Reflexes. So you can just charge this up with the special acceleration in her weapon, or you could even just support her. And keep in mind that you just need the special to be pre-charged as sort of combat, or have it trigger in the combat itself. And you're going to be getting the healing as well as the true damage. And because that condition is active, even healers can, take advantage of this. So you can just run a one-turn special on healers like, Imbue or any kind of bomb plus skill. So that can work out, and that's pretty easy to do if you're running Asker or like Legendary Hector. So that could be done so that they can just do a bit more damage, and the healing is definitely pretty nice. So as you guys know, Mercedes is pretty much one of my favorite characters in FaZe, so this is a skill I would definitely like to give to her if I pull like extra female Corrin. And then beast units also make good use of this skill because they don't really have access to too many options, and they do have the tempo effect, so they can just use the Bread Secret Seal and just retaliate back with the special and get the true damage on top of the true damage that they already get, and also get some nice healing. If you want to build up Halloween Female Corrin, then you can easily run Null Follow-Up Secret Seal on her and just give her reposition. Her base kit is already pretty good, and it seems like it was made with Null Follow-Up Secret Seal in mind. So Dragon's Wrath could be, just had on the slot B as she comes with that. But if you want to replace that, then you can definitely run Null Follow-Up Secret Seal and have distant counter Sacred Seal, because there is an opportunity cost if you run Null Follow-Up, and if you want her to, retaliate back to range units, then distant counter is going to be a pretty nice option, especially with the negating Fang not being pierced by Deadeye and Lethality. I think it's a pretty good option, so you could easily run that as well. So it's really up to you if you want to take on the melee matchups or also focus on the range matchups. You can also use her in Summoner Duels S, in my opinion, as a front liner, and she can also work with Might of Myriads. I've actually faced her quite a lot as I was testing my Summoner Duels S team today. So yeah, like I said, she's going to be a pretty good user of this because she does have good matchup against Brave Selif, and she's not going to be getting outsped. She can get the damage reduction from Dragon's Wrath and negating Fang, and also the fact that she's got the guard effect is actually pretty nice because it can just prevent her from getting blown up by the specials, and you can actually just play a bit aggressive with her as well and just yeet her into the range of the enemy and pulse smoke down their specials, like maybe Asker or their Hardy Fighter armors. And because she does have the guard effect, along with pulse smoke, it is going to be pretty hard for the opponents to actually trigger their special against Corrin and do a lot of damage against her. So I would mainly use her in Summoner Duels S. I don't think she's going to be slotting that well in Summoner Duels R, as other duo units and other hard parity units are going to be taking the role there, but definitely a pretty fantastic option for Summoner Duels S, and can also be used in Aether Raids offense competitively for the Aster season or the Chaos season. I say Aster season because you can easily get the damage reduction out of Elimine. You can disable the Brattle Catcher teams with a false start. So negating Fang's damage reduction is only there for the first hit, so if you get Brave attacked by a Brattle Catcher team, then it's not the ideal thing. So that's why Aster Season is already pretty easy, and you can definitely try and use her there. And Naga could also be run with like double Ward Dragon Sacred Seal, so that works out. And you can also get more damage reduction with Speed Smoke 4, and distant counter is going to be needed here, so she can Omni Tank actually fairly well compared to most amount of units thanks to negating Fang, and the fact that her weapon is definitely pretty stacked. And if you just want to stack up a bunch of damage reduction, then this is the build that you can run. So you can give her Null Follow-Up in her Sacred Seal and just have damage reduction from her special, from Dragon's Wrath and Speed Smoke 4. So that extra damage reduction can be really annoying for a lot of enemies, but you're going to be missing out on running Distant Counter Sacred Seal. Finally, if you do plus and merge her, then she could be used as a really fantastic unit in Arena because she's going to be able to take on stuff like Duochrome extremely easily, and Duochrome is a very common unit. So negating Fang with Distant Counter is a really good combo because most dragons do not have access to a 2 cooldown special. They just have Blue Flame and like Aether, and that's pretty much it. So by running 300 SP passives and by running 300 SP Sacred Seal, you can essentially score like a 205 BST unit with Halloween Female Corrin, which is definitely quite a lot. She basically scores like a tier below the highest scoring unit, which is like Halloween Duma at this point at 210 BST. So she's going to be an amazing arena project if you love her and you want to plus and merge her, and she can serve you really well in pretty much all competitive game modes, as you can see by the builds. Halloween Male Corrin is a green infantry dragon this time, and unfortunately he doesn't have the luxury of female Corrin by having negating Fang or really having the speed or that kind of stacked weapon, but still his weapon is honestly pretty good as it does give him -1 special cooldown, and it does have the same condition as female Corrin, so it is always going to be present in the enemy phase, and in the player phase you need the foe to be at 75 or above HP. So he can get +6 attack to himself and -6 attack on the enemy, and he can also inflict the guard effect on the enemy as well, which is really good for a slow tank. and instead of getting the special acceleration like Female Corrin, he instead gets the per hit healing in the combat by 7 HP. So that is pretty good for the self-sustain, especially when you combine this with like a finish skill. And then finally, if the foe can make a follow-up attack, then he can reduce the damage from foe's first attack by 75%. So that is very heavy damage reduction, but keep in mind this is not as good as negating Fang because it is going to be absolutely getting shredded by Deadeye, Lethality, and all of those specials. So while this is really good, just watch out for those kinds of opponents. So his stat spread is quite different from Female Corrin. He's going to be extremely slow at base 21 speed, so you're just going to be investing into his attack and his bulk. And speaking of his bulk is actually pretty good with having a super boon in resistance and having high 44 defense. So he can function as a really good slow dragon, and he does come with distance stance as a slotty skill, and also Dragon's IR4 as a new skill. So overall, unfortunately, Halloween Male Corrin is going to be facing tremendous competition from Brave Tiki, because Brave Tiki is also a similar dragon in that slow dragon archetype, but Remote Breath pretty much makes Brave Tiki immune to Lethality and Deadeye. I mean, to a degree, because she's not going to get nuked by that, and she can also instantly retaliate back with specials, so that is really good, whereas Corrin doesn't exactly have, something like Null Guard to immediately retaliate back to like a guard opponent. So Tiki is just going to be functioning as a better slow infantry dragon, and she's also a Chooser Legends unit, so she is comparatively easier to plus and merge, and she does get the damage reduction out of her slot B skill, and she's also going to be getting a weapon refine in like 2 years, whereas like Corrin has to wait until like 2032, I think. So yeah, unfortunately Brave Tiki definitely gives him a tough competition. But that does not mean that if you like him, you cannot build him up. He's definitely going to be a solid unit, but it's just that he's competing with another existing unit, whereas Female Corrin is going to be a lot more unique. So he does bring in Dragon's IR4, which is going to be a 300 SP slot B skill for dragons, and this is a pretty amazing skill to be run on a lot of dragons, especially on slower dragons, or if they are to be used in arena for the high scoring. So now Dragon's IR4 can inflict -4 attack and resistance debuff on the opponent, and it can give you the follow-up attack in both phases. So that is really good for giving slow dragons a player phase, and then finally it can just neutralize any kind of effects that prevent your follow-up attacks. So it is mainly going to be useful against the impact effects. So the HP threshold and the effects of Dragon's IR4 is going to be amazing for so many dragons, and I just want to go over some of the dragons that you can run the skill on. So first of all, the dragons that are to be run in arena are going to be liking this skill as their slot B skill, because by having 300 SP passives and by having distant counter, they can score higher than a lot of the normal units. So Ascended Idun can score as 205 BST, and previously she could have access to Dragon's Wrath 4, but honestly she really wants Dragon's IR4 instead so that she can get the guaranteed follow-up attack. And Faye is one of the free-to-play units who actually scores really high, so you can run this on her as well. And then Papa Garen can also score same as Faye, but he does have a bit more recent weapon refine. You can also use this on slow dragons. So Summer Muspel does have the auto-follow weapon, but the OG Muspel kind of struggles with that. So Dragon's IR4 can help you with it. And an old favorite like, Adult Tiki can be run with this skill, especially when she gets a resplendent version, she's going to be able to have more stats. So Lantern Breath is going to be an amazing weapon on her. And someone like Mer can also run this so that she can have a better player phase. So mainly slow dragons and the dragons to be used in arena are going to be loving this skill. So if you want to build up a Halloween Male Corrin, then you can just give him Attack Smoke 4 and Attack Resistance Form as the budget skills, and he can definitely function pretty well in both phases with his base kit. But if you want to invest a bit more into him, then you can run Warding Breath and Iceberg, and also Joint Drive Attack so that he can retaliate back with Iceberg and do a lot of damage. You can also run Bonfire or Luna if you want to, but here we are getting like 9 extra resistance out of Warding and Distant Stance. If you want to invest him with some of the fodder from Divine Codes, then Attack Resistance Unity is going to be a pretty good skill, and you can actually run Sacred Cowl on him, and it's going to be a dynamic special, especially if you run him with Asker, Duochrome, or any of those units. So if you're going to be facing a Lethality or Deadeye pre-charged unit, then you can just pre-charge the Sacred Cowl so that he doesn't get completely shredded by those specials, because Sacred Cowl is going to be helping. And you can also just keep this as a 1 cooldown special so that he can get the damage reduction on foe's first attack by 75%, and then he can get the damage reduction on the second attack if they live, and if they are able to double him, which most units are going to be able to double. So this is a bit more of a defensive approach really to him. The first two builds are going to be a lot more offensive and focusing on one-shots, whereas this is more for the defensive survival with this kind of damage reduction skill. So it really depends on you. I personally like killing things a lot more with him, but this is also an option which I thought is worth mentioning. Attack resistance finish from Brave Tiki is going to be a delicious fodder for him. He can also get defense res menace at the same time, and because he's a unit who's going to be spamming his special, he's going to be able to make fantastic use out of the finish skill and get even more healing out of his weapon, so he's going to be having even better self-sustain. He can also be run in arena just like Halloween Female Corrin, but unfortunately the duochrome is going to be the matchup you have to watch out for because Deadeye is going to be shredding him, and he doesn't have negating fang, but he can basically run blue flame and run the 300 SP skill so that he can score like a 205 BST unit. Halloween Naga is the 4-star focus unit of this banner, and she's a colorless flying dragon with 183 BST this time around. So she's got no preferred weapon, and she also doesn't have her Divine Fang, even the pre-remix Divine Fang unfortunately, so it is going to be making her a bit less unique, and she comes with an inheritable weapon in Serenity Breath Plus. So this weapon can provide you with -5 attack and resistance debuff on the opponent, and it also has follow-up negation built into it. So it can be a pretty nice thing for a unit like Naga, who does have a bit of an awkward speed stat, so she can stack up enough speed so that she doesn't get auto doubled by a lot of the slower units, so that could be helpful. And the faster units who don't run null follow-up can also not just double her. So this breath is not the worst thing, but it's really not the best compared to a preferred weapon either. But keep in mind that we could get an arcane breath, which could definitely make her into a much better unit because she's colorless and also a flying dragon. And she comes with attack resistance catch 3 at 4-star and attack resistance rain at 5-star. So these skills are going to be pretty nice, and of course you can also have rally attack plus at 5-star, which is going to be good score for the Colosseum game modes. Her stat spread is honestly pretty awkward. Her attack is definitely the best part of her, with having base 42 attack and also having super boon in it, so she can definitely hit pretty hard. But her speed is really middling at base 31, so she's not really the fastest and not really the slowest, so that's generally not really that preferred because you cannot really just dump it or even just stack it up to too high of the levels. So many players have different preferences, so if you want to stack it up, then it could work at max investment, but at lower investment you're just not going to be able to make too much out of her speed. Her bulk is kind of balanced with base 35 defense and base 37 resistance, so the resistance can definitely allow her to use the resistance based skills like Dragon Wall a lot better, so that is at least good. So overall, Halloween Naga is the kind of unit that you build up if you really like her a lot and you like her unique design. She's not exactly going to be the most impressive 4-star merge project from a seasonal banner, and it seems like the level set by Summer Claude is just too high. And also, some of the other units like Winter Manuela, for example, I would argue. So yeah, lack of unique things that Naga has got is definitely going to be a bit annoying, and also this kind of awkward stat spread. So if you want to run her on a budget, then you can simply give her speed defense link from Norn, and this can allow her to pretty much get more speed, which is going to be helping her, and also more defense. But for the people who are going to be plussed and investing into her, then you can just run attack resistance unity and Dragon Wall from the Divine Code section. And this could be done even if you're stacking up speed on her, because she's going to be able to get that damage reduction, and the -5 resistance debuff of the weapon of hers is actually really helpful for the Dragon Wall activation. So she can almost get like full damage reduction against most opponents, I would say, unless you're facing some kind of invested safe tank who has a lot of resistance. So you could go for the speed boon and also resistance boon, but if you're doing this at low investment, then I would just suggest going with the attack boon. But the unfortunate part about this build is that if you're running distant counter, then you're going to be missing out on running quick riposte. So it does come at an opportunity cost, and even like quick riposte doesn't have the best HP threshold, so that middling speed is really going to be making it hard for you to run something like Dragon Wall for the damage reduction. But hey, if you just want to make her bulky, then it could be an option. But if you want to make her even more bulky, then yeah, you could change her weapon with Lantern Breath Plus, which actually gives you the guard effect, and that is really good for any kind of tank. You can also run Defense Res Unity, which is going to be having good synergy with Attack Smoke 4. So Attack Smoke 4 is only really good if you're going to be replacing her weapon with something else, like I did here. because follow-up negation is already present in her default weapon, but with Lantern Breath, this is something that she can make use of, and she can also just get the visible buffs, and in case she gets panicked, the Unity skill is going to be there to protect her. So this is the max tanking build, just focusing on her attack and resistance and not really bothering with her speed. So it's really up to you which way you want to invest into her, either the speed route or the attack route. Again, I would only really recommend investing in her speed if you are going to be merging her to the max, and if you're going to be using her with like max dragon flowers. Otherwise, just focusing on her attack is going to be something that I would suggest. And Dragon's Ire is available now on this banner itself, so that's something that you can run. But if you're going to be running her in arena, then yeah, you should definitely be running a speed build there, because the follow-up negation is going to be helping you a lot more with your stacked up speed, and it also helps you get not doubled by many of the faster opponents. So you can definitely speed stack with attack speed catch 4 and the oath 4 skill, and Dragon's Wrath is something I would prefer more in arena than Dragon's Ire 4, because you're going to be speed stacking on her, and getting that true damage and the damage reduction is actually pretty crucial for surviving some of the matchups. So she really likes having that, especially when we're focusing this much on her like speed instead of focusing on her bulk. And her default weapon is going to be doing fine, but you can always run Lantern Breath so that you can get the guard effect. So that is also a really good weapon. Unfortunately, there's not a single breath available in the game that is inhittable and that gives you speed, so that is really unfortunate. So your options are going to be kind of limited to her default weapon and also Lantern Breath, which does provide a guard. And you can actually use that in like Aether Raids offense at max investment and pretty much use her as a flying tank. So Naga could be used here with Double Ward Dragon. You can also use Element for the damage reduction, and Thor can actually give you the special acceleration, which can allow you to retaliate back with Glimmers, which is going to be doing quite a bit of damage with Dragon's Wrath 4 and her high attack stat. And she can get something which normal Naga cannot, and that is the mythic buffs. So it is going to be making difference in her bulk, and you can definitely use her that way competitively. I hope you all enjoyed this banner review. If you did, then make sure to leave a like and a comment, helps me tremendously. And if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using super thanks or by becoming a YouTube member down below. And for more Fae videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as any of these Corrin's damage reduction against Legendary Nana. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.